So many questions with this chapter of One Piece. We all thought that the previous chapters were mind-blowing, especially with the whole Shanks thing and the Five Elders last week. Well, that was nothing compared to some of the things that happened within this chapter. Number one, this person, whoever is this person, holds a lot of significant weight. And just to kind of put it in easy terms, this is our final boss. See, Blackbeard is obviously near the final boss, and some have thought that Blackbeard could potentially be the final boss, maybe for Luffy, but it's very clear after the reveal of this chapter that we finally were introduced to the final boss of One Piece. The final enemy that our characters are going to have to overcome to probably become the King of Pirates, and also change this world for the better. Regardless of whatever the end game is, in terms of this being the final boss or not, there's one thing very clear. That this person is probably very scary and knows a hell of a lot. Number one, we don't really know if this person is a male or a female. I mean, I don't even really know how to pronounce the name. It's like Imu? I don't even know how to pronounce the person's name, but it's like I am Sama. Now, that could be just a shorthand name. It might be like another name attached to it, but it's very clear that this person, in terms of figure-wise, as I've been talking about, it looks like this person could potentially be a female. And a couple chapters back, when we had the Straw Hat reveal and all that, that looks, very weird, it's in a freezer, many were saying that maybe this could potentially be, Luffy's mother. I even talked about it. It's like, hey, maybe this is Luffy's mother. I talked about this a while back as well. I mean, who knows? Maybe. And now looking at, this chapter, I doubt now that this person could be Luffy's mother, but I mean, who knows? But the big thing is that, at the very least, we don't really know if this person is male or female. Also, there's another thing that we need to take note of. This officially confirms that there is a hierarchy system in the Celestial Dragons. We know about the different families. We know how there's 20 families, and, we have Vivi's family, they didn't go, so there's technically only 19 families in the, Mary Jo's and all that. We already know this. And basically, we have the Don Quixotes and all the others that have kind of yet to be revealed. The big point here is that we now know, it's official, that the different Celestial Dragon families, they have their own political power, their own pool to where they can get what they want done. Even though they're technically gods of the world, the person that is on the throne that we saw at the end of the chapter, that the elders were, bowing down before, you could kind of say this is a god among gods. Like the god of all gods. So, the king of everything. That's the best way you can kind of interpret that scene. Now, the big question is what was that final segment about? With all of the cut-up pictures and the flower room and all that, it reminded me of, someone that was trying to figure out what they need to do next. What should they technically end for they can continue to remain in power? And the Five Elders talk to this individual. And is like, what light should we snuff out next? Give us a name. Give us a name. Imu-sama, or I'm-sama, or however you pronounce her name, or his name, basically saying, give us a name. Who should we snuff out? Like, what light should we snuff out? And we had a bunch of, pictures all over the ground that was cut up and diced and all that. You had Hoshi, you had Blackbeard, you had Luffy, and then you had Vivi, which her poster was untouched. You had it to where this King of All basically grabbed the poster and walked up to the throne with it. So we didn't really get to know what was going on with that scene. We don't know if this person has a relationship with Vivi in some way. We don't know if this person wants to kill Vivi as she is a target. We have no idea, because when you look at, the pictures all over the ground cut and, diced up, you see Luffy's a little bit diced up, you see Blackbeard's a little bit diced up, you have Hoshi's diced up, but Vivi's is the only one untouched. So, if we're going by how normal circumstances would be, you would assume that this person wants to kill Luffy, Blackbeard, and Hoshi. And basically, Vivi is completely fine. Don't touch her. Maybe, persuade her, capture her, whatever. We really don't know. That's the way I interpret it, honestly, and I think many are probably going to interpret it in the exact same way. But here's the thing, though. This person, most likely, if I had to assume anything, is probably aware of Hoshi. And what I mean by that is Hoshi being a weapon. an ancient weapon. As we know, she's Poseidon. This has been established in the Fishman Island arc, and it was kind of hinted at a while ago and all that before the Fishman Island arc, and basically we knew of this ancient weapon, and we finally got it revealed when Shirahoshi was introduced. And so we know that Shirahoshi is Poseidon. It's a very well-kept secret, but since this person is like the king of all or queen of all, it's very apparent that this person would kind of be able to piece things together, realize who could potentially be the ancient weapon Poseidon. And so most likely the poster being on the ground is representing the fact that this person knows who Shirahoshi is and wants to quickly either capture her or end her, for she will not be a danger to their political power, or at the very least this person's political power of being the king of even the gods themselves of this world, the celestial dragons. Now, here's the thing. Now, if we're connecting all of these dots, okay, if we're going with the stuff with that, Shirahoshi is dangerous, then let's look at Blackbeard and Luffy. So Blackbeard, as we know, he is a Yonko. He's an emperor of the sea. He is someone that's caused a huge ruckus in recent times. He has taken out Whitebeard. He's upset, all of the organizations around the world, for instance, the world government, to different pirate crews. I mean, he's flip-flopped back and forth as a regular pirate to becoming a warlord, then going to Impel Down, breaking out people, and then, taking out Whitebeard, and then becoming an emperor on top of that, and hurting more of Whitebeard's crew. I mean, Blackbeard has always been this guy that's causing havoc throughout the entirety of the Grand Line and the world itself. And obviously, he's gained a lot of, infamy because of what he has done. And so him being there, obviously, if we're going with on the lines of Shirahoshi being a threat because of her being an ancient weapon, the reason why Blackbeard is there, because he's also a threat to the political power of the Celestial Dragons. But it doesn't just stop there. Let's look at Luffy. Luffy, we know he's the MC. We have seen what he has done throughout the series. We have been with him. We know what he has done. We know all the crazy things he's done from start to finish to where he's at right now. And he continuously makes headlines, and it's always been referenced that he could potentially be the next Pirate King, and also he is maybe potentially the reincarnation of Roger. It's been something that's been passed around for a while now in terms of Furies and all that. So Luffy has always had this massive track record and also has gained similar infamy just like Blackbeard. And so them being there, they are threats. And on top of that, we do know that they have the D attached to them. For instance, the Will of D. And we know that the Celestial Dragons fear the Will of D. I mean, look at the Don Quixote family. Let's look at, Doflamingo and how he talked about the Will of D, how he was scared of them and all that, how they're like demons or monsters that would come to eat them up, bedtime stories that were told to celestial dragons. So we do know that at the very least, Blackbeard and Luffy, they have a common trait, the Will of D. Now, I don't think it's just the Will of D that's the reason why this person is looking at these two individuals. It's probably because they had the Will of D, but also they've caused so much of an upset in the world that there's a potential possibility that these two individuals could be carrying on the legacy of someone from the past, maybe Joy Boy. Which, that's probably what's being hinted at here, and why that person went down underground to the Straw Hat in the freezer to compare it with Luffy. So, the two bounty posters we saw was Blackbeard and it was Luffy, unless it was a different bounty poster that was just exchanged out. We have no idea. But that's basically clarification for that. Now, continuing one step further, though, so what does this mean for Vivi? Why was Vivi among Shirahoshi, Blackbeard, and Luffy? That's the big question everybody's going to ask. So, why would she be there? Well, number one, it was a reminder in this chapter that she is a part of the original 20 families. The original 20 countries or kingdoms that formed together to make the world government. But, Vivi's family, they decided, no, we don't want to be up there, we want to be in the lower realms and all that, with, the poor people, the citizens, peasants, basically. That's kind of what Vivi's family wanted to do, and that's how the Celestial Dragons looked at them. And from the 5 elders, they said that they're basically traitors. So they're not really viewed in a good light. Vivi's family isn't. So obviously, if you're the king of all, and you are queen of all, and you have, ran this world government and all that for a while, and you know everything, obviously you wouldn't like, Vivi's family, since she wasn't supporting the main, hierarchy of what's really going on in this world. That could be the reason, or the case of what's going on here. But regardless, though, I think there's more to it than just that. Another thing it could potentially be is that Vivi has a connection to Pluton. See, many might have forgotten about this, because it has been a while since it was actually relevant in the story, but it's always had its presence there. As we know, in Alabasta, when that arc first began, Crocodile's main objective was to gain control of the country and also find the location of Pluton, an ancient weapon that could rival Poseidon. And that's the whole reason why Pluton was made, but because it was to rival something like Poseidon, which is Shirahoshi. So the reason why maybe Vivi's poster was grabbed was because this person knows that Vivi Vivi might know where Pluton is, or potentially able to find it, and then get it under control where they could fight Hoshi and get rid of, these two individuals that are also attached to the Will D, Luffy and Blackbeard. That's what I think is going on, since we know Pluton is in the main country, and Luffy does have Frankie, a part of his crew, that does know how to create Pluton. So that is what I think is going on here. I could be wrong, but I believe that is why maybe Vivi could become a potential target in the future. If not that, they're wanting to snuff out her family line because they don't want, to deal with, Vivi's family anymore, potentially, grabbing, Pluton and using it against them, because it's already a danger enough as it is for Luffy's crew to have, Poseidon under their control. Most likely this person knows about the connection between Luffy and Fishman Island. So there you go. Let's talk about something that, I saw a couple have mentioned to me on Twitter, and it is something that is very apparent, so I take no credit for what I'm about to talk about, but I want to mention to kind of get the information out there. So, there was something that was said that kind of caught my interest, and it does make sense with the story. You remember in Dressrosa, with the whole, plot point with what Doflamingo wanted from Law, and why he dealt with Law's crap the entire time, why he didn't kill him? It was because he wanted Law to perform an operation. The immortal operation, to make Doflamingo immortal, where he cannot die. Now, it makes a lot of sense why he would know this, why Doflamingo would kind of know this information, because he is a Celestial Dragon, and if he was a part of the Celestial Dragons, he would know a lot more information than the average person. Common sense there. And so, for all we know, what if this King of All or Queen of All is potentially immortal? Because we know for a fact that devil fruit had to be used on someone in the past. So for all we know, this person that's sitting in the throne in this chapter could be someone that's lived for 1,000 years, 800 years, since the Void Century. We have no idea. But basically, that's what I think is going on there. It was mentioned, and I just wanted to bring that to light, that could be what's going on here, too. Maybe this person has been around since the Void Century and hasn't died, and so technically people view this person like a freaking god at this point. And maybe that's why, Doflamingo knew about the Devil Fruit and what its capabilities were, because he was a Celestial Dragon. Who knows? So let's get into King Riku and Cobra talking with Fujitora. Now this one, I think, is very obvious. I think anyone could kind of catch on to what Fujitora is asking them or talking to them about, because if you've been following the One Piece story, then you're very aware of what position Fujitora has, what he wants to accomplish, and also what has happened to King Riku and also Cobra. We have firsthand seen what has happened to these two individual kings and their countries. I mean, Crocodile, he almost took over Alabasta, and he almost gained control of an ancient weapon, Pluton. And now, as we know, the world government, they, did that, they went behind the scenes, and they kind of rewrit history a little bit to where, nobody knew the truth that Luffy saved the day. But the thing was that this exact same event happened in, Dressrosa. King Riku's family got completely overthrown, and Doflamingo took control. And basically, Fujitora, since the very beginning, he's always wanted to get rid of the warlord system. He thinks it's very flawed, he doesn't like it at all. So him talking with King Riku and Cobra is basically him establishing a combo with them, like, hey, will you support my political viewpoint of getting rid of, the warlord system? Will you help me out to press this matter in the world government reverie? I think that's probably what he's talking about, and most likely those two individuals would agree, because warlords have caused them a lot of harm. I mean, we have it to where the whole situation with Vivi's family and all that, and Cobra, they almost lost their country, and they technically were a part of the original families of the Celestial Dragons. So if they can have something like that done to them, just imagine other countries. So it says a lot, and I feel like that's probably, why Fujitora was talking to them. Now, carrying even further as well, Cobra also requested a meeting with the five elders. Now, they say, I hope he doesn't try to start anything. I hope he doesn't try to, do anything and all that, and, hopefully the reverie doesn't go south. That's what they try to say about him, which implies that most likely Cobra does know kind of behind the scenes of what's going on. He might be talking about Pluton. And as I've already said in this video, remember, they said they wanted to snuff out a light, and then a great cleansing or whatever, or purge is about to happen. If I had to assume anything, most likely they're going to start eradicating maybe big countries, or potential heavy political figures, just to be able to tone down and be able to strengthen themselves to where they can kind of keep control of the world. That's what I'm assuming, so we'll see where that's going to go. But okay, anyways, let's also talk about the beginning of the chapter and the stuff with Kuma. So before I get into the Kuma and the Bonnie stuff, Hoshi and Sharding, they have a little moment, which I think is very adorable. It's a very quick scene. It's not relatively that important, so to say, to the chapter. It's more of character interaction than anything else. But it was very sweet to see someone like Sharding with, Hoshi, and, you have this giant princess, the biggest princess with the smallest princess, and they were literally becoming friends. I thought that was just a very cute scene. I'm just like, that's adorable. I want more interactions with them. And then you also had the stuff with King Neptune, how he was basically saying, like, there's bad humans, good humans, just like how there's bad fishmen and good fishmen. He was basically saying there's different people. There's never one the same. And that's kind of what he was also saying about the Celestial Dragons, that there's good Celestial Dragons and there's bad Celestial Dragons. We can't judge them all as one unit, which is what's been happening with the fishmen since the very beginning. And that's kind of what we've been doing to the Celestial Dragons since we found out about them. So, really nice information and correlation between those two little lines in this chapter. Now, let's get into Kuma. So, Kuma makes a surprising appearance with this chapter. And I think many can agree with me that it was probably one of the saddest moments in a while we've gotten for One Piece. Kuma, it was in a state of just being used like a slave. And what's sad is that we know technically he's dead. Like, he's not really alive anymore. He officially finished his, pacifista, experiment and all that, to where he became a full-on, machine, or a cyborg. We knew this. But it's very sad seeing the state of Kuma, which we've known for a while. He's had a good presence in the story. I mean, he's the whole reason why the Straw Hats were able to get strong in the first place, and why the Sunny wasn't destroyed in the time skip. He holds massive, significant weight to the story. And that's not even counting what he's done probably in the Revolutionaries for multiple characters, and what he did for his kingdom as well, that apparently he left. So, I mean, Kuma has always been this great, wonderful dude, even if he has shown a very savage side to him. And seeing him in the state to where, the Celestial Dragons are just using him, Roswald, or Rosward, or however you pronounce his name, how he's just using Kuma, and just using him like a slave. He's like, oh, he's perfect. You can hit him, you can stab him, he doesn't cry, whine, or anything, he just goes along his day. He's a perfect slave. It's a very sad state, because Kuma, he's being used as an example right now. He's being used as an example, showing that even if you're a king, it does not matter. The Celestial Dragons are way above you. You are nothing compared to a Celestial Dragon. If they want to take a king off his throne and use them like a slave, they can do that without any problem whatsoever. That's pretty much what Kuma is doing right now, or what purpose he is serving for the Celestial Dragons. It's proving that if you disobey the government, if you try to become a pirate or whatever, they can just grab you up and use you like a slave, and nobody can stop them. It's really disgusting, because it also shows that that's what would have happened to Hoshi, and nobody really could have stopped it. I mean, if it wasn't for the Don Quixote family coming in and stopping, Hoshi from being taken, she would have became a slave. Nothing could have been done about it. That's just how the world is run. Regardless of how the Marines, Navy, or whatever, how they feel, or even CP0, whatever. If the Celestial Dragons want it, they are going to get it. In a discussion. So, that was a very important segment for this chapter, just to show how messed up the Celestial Dragons really are. But then, something really shocking happens. Bonnie pops up, and this raises so many questions with this chapter. We get the reveal that Kuma was a king of a country, Sorbet Kingdom. Now, Sorbet, apparently, he was a king and then left it to become a warlord, and then, became a revolutionary. Or he left the kingdom, became a revolutionary, became a warlord or whatever. And from what we know, they don't really know his ties to the Revolutionary Army. I'm assuming. I don't think it's ever been revealed that the world government is aware of Kuma being attached to the Revolutionary Army. Regardless of whatever, we do know that he's being used as an example because he became a warlord. And that's what they're doing right now. They're just using him. And Bonnie recognizes Kuma, and it's like, I will never forgive them. I will never forgive them. Which is very similar to what she said to Akainu when she was talking to when, Akainu captured her. We don't know how Bonnie ever got away, by the way. That's still never been established. I've always thought since that happened that maybe Bonnie could potentially be like a spy for Akainu or something. Similar to how, we had the whole stuff going on with, the Doflamingo family. How, Doffy's brother was, a spy watching him. Maybe, Bonnie is similar to that. Maybe she's infiltrating because she is actually investigating and trying to help out Akainu or the, certain parts or factions in the Navy. But we do know something at the very least, that Bonnie, she is not working with the revolutionaries. The reason why we know this is because if she was, she wouldn't be up there by herself. She would be with Sabo and all of them underground, which we saw in this chapter. So, it's clear as day that she's not with the revolutionaries. She's there for her own purpose. And here's another thing. Since she does have a strange connection to Kuma, we could assume a couple of things. Either A, she was at one point in time a part of Kuma's kingdom. She was a citizen, a descendant of him, maybe a daughter or something. Or maybe, I know many might throw me under the bus for what I'm about to say, but maybe even potentially his lover. Hear me out on this one. We see an old version of Bonnie in this chapter, and she's called Connie, and a queen and all that, high queen and all that. That's the thing, though. Even if she is in a disguise and all that, and she looks a little bit different, I just highly doubt, since this is the reverie with such high security, that they would allow someone to just walk in like that. I just truly doubt that. So, I feel like maybe there's more to Bonnie than we know. Maybe she really is a royal bloodline, and maybe she became the queen of the Sorbet Kingdom, for all we know. And maybe Connie was just a fake name just to be able to become a pirate and just do what she wanted, one or the other. But I feel like maybe Bonnie could potentially be maybe even a lover of Kuma. Because, I mean, we do know that she has the devil fruit ability to be able to change her age. She's able to go from being old to a regular teen to a kid. Well, she can change her age. So we don't really know the age of Bonnie. We don't really know how old she is. We really don't know. For all we know, she could be an old granny, which what she looked in this chapter. So we'll have to find out about that one. For all we know, she could know Kuma because she might be his mother, might be, you know, his lover. Well, we don't know. But yeah, that is something I did want to mention. But okay, so anyways, despite all of this, let's also talk about the situation with the reverie, what's going on within. So the reverie has begun, and we have Lincoln, basically. He's going to be leading the conference and all that. And then you have someone that obviously is inspired by Great Britain also helping out. He's like, thank you. So I just love that little interaction. And then you also have an obvious reference to Germany, I believe. I could be wrong there, but you can tell by the design. I'm just like, okay, Oda, I see where you're going with that. But I mean, there's just some very interesting designs with these kings or queens of their individual country, and it's just a really cool chapter. But I think I want to end this video here, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.